So last time we talked about expectations, so we're just going to real quick review that so that we can make sure everyone's on the same page about what that means.
Test and see if they know it.
My brain's tired. Thinking other things.
You got the posters everywhere.
Awesome, love that.
Yep. That's what I graduated already. I don't have any
If you're repeating it to the students, then that's
there you go. And then we're going to talk about how we can incorporate those expectations into the different routines and settings that you guys work within in the program. And then we're going to talk about how do we actually help all of the students in the program to know what it is to meet those expectations. So here we go. So this was from last time we did the creating expectations. Remember that we encourage them to be 3 to 5, stated positively or affirmatively, broad enough so that they can be applied to a number of settings, and in language that is common or familiar for everyone in that group of individuals. So then we decided that these were our expectations. So professional, accountable, thriving, helpful, and socially skilled. Had to change the verb tense on them a little bit. So if you're like, I don't remember socially skilled, it was social skills, right? But either or, as long as you can reference it, doesn't super matter, but just to make it consistent, I did that. So I love that you have posted the posters. That's fantastic. How's that gone so far? Tell me a little bit about that.
I've noticed some of our students have noticed a change in our rooms.
Awesome. What tells you that they've noticed that?
They will say, they notice like the first one, the P for professionalism, and then helpful. They notice some of the words on the poster.
Awesome.
A couple of them also asked for a copy. They want their own poster.
Awesome.
So I'm working with Tanya so she can make like little ones to give it to them so they can keep it in their backpack or in their wallet so they can just have it there. Yeah.
I love that. And then they can take it with them. That's fantastic. Anybody else have any reflections about the posters so far?
I haven't had a lot of students in my office in itself, so I
haven't interacted with it yet?
No.
That's okay.
The only thing I've noticed is that they'll say, hey, there's a new poster here, and I said, yeah, we created that to help you guys, be more, focus on all those things, and their response is generally, okay, cool.
Hey, you got a little bit of buy-in there. Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right, awesome. So when we were categorizing all of the things that you wanted students in the PATS program to demonstrate, we started with all that really long list of words, right? And then we worked on making them fit kind of in broader categories, which has been how we developed the 5 terms. So I wanted to make sure that we spent a quick amount of time reviewing what we thought that would look like before we go into how can we help students understand what that looks like in all those different settings. So, and we can flip back and forth here a little bit, and I'm actually going to get out of this and move on. So here we have the expectations of professionalism, accountability, thriving, being helpful, and being socially skilled. I know one of your routines is study hall, correct? Do you call it something different?
Yes.
office hours.
Office hours?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can get that updated. So I thought that would be a good one to start with and think about what does it mean to be professional, accountable, thriving, helpful, and socially skilled during office hours.
Someone
Tell her to go to the room and
This is right here.
Until 6.
there should be a room.
He said he was going to explain.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So what does it mean to demonstrate all of these 5 expectations during office hours? What does that look like?
Professional using, coming prepared with your questions.
For me, I think it's also respect. Is one.
What does that look? Can you tell me more? What does that look like?
If I'm giving you help, acknowledging what I'm saying.
Okay.
So like,
So could it be? I want to have the things on this poster be very specific
Okay.
and clearly observable. So how can we incorporate a few things here that might
Like, besides being prepared with your questions, recognizing, I'm trying to think of how to word it. I know what he was looking for. So like when you give someone, help them find the answer,
Mhm.
to acknowledge what they're telling you to do and do it. That's what
Okay.
he's trying to
yeah,
say.
sorry. Yeah.
Because I know, because I've seen it.
How does that work? Acknowledging help and trying it.
That will work.
Yeah, that will work.
And usually in each of these boxes, we want there to be at least two. So that's a great start. If we think of others that can go in the professionalism, we can definitely add them. Anything, what does accountable look like during office hours?
I've got one.
Go for it.
I need, being accountable when it comes to office hours is, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with being prepared,
Mhm.
but
Okay.
they need to be accountable for deadlines on their assignments. I don't want them coming to office hours saying, hey, why did you give me a 0 on my assignment, or why did you give me a 50 on my assignment? And then when I go into the grade book, I see that it's 7 days late, or 10 days late, or that they just didn't, they submitted a paper with 0 answers on
Okay.
it. Right? They
So,
need, yeah.
turning complete assignments in on time.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like also you're kind of saying that not just turning in complete assignments on time, but like acknowledging their role and why they're there.
Why they're.
Advocate for yourself, self-advocating for
Well, I mean, they are advocating, but it's owning their mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, that's really what self-advocacy is, because you can advocate for yourself, but if you don't take ownership, you're not really advocating for yourself.
Advocating is more asking for help.
And making sure you get the support you need.
Yeah.
So could it be owning mistakes and asking for help? Is that?
No, well, owning mistakes, is that the positive way of putting it?
That's a really good point.
Yes.
So I think you can identify, or maybe we could say,
How
Owning a
about-
mistake and realizing how to correct them,
Well, it's not.
or not
How
to
about
repeat them.
action?
Or it's even like owning why they're in office hours, because they're in office hours because of some need, right? That they're in there for.
Not always.
We always tell them to take ownership of their learning needs.
I love that verbiage.
Sometimes they just come in there, which I'm fully supportive of. Sometimes they just come to office hours because they need 2 hours out of their day, or they need 3 or 4 hours out of their day to just sit down and do work, which I'm fully supportive of.
Yeah, I think that
Right,
covers
I
the
think-
way that Tracy said. Yeah, the ownership. Yeah, what you were saying.
Like,
And maybe challenges can be where, or needs. Yeah, pretty much covers that. So.
Yeah.
They also need to come prepared with
Yeah.
their questions. A lot of them come in, they just really have no idea whether they're.
Yeah, that's what I have under professional.
You also
Being
mentioned,
professional,
Denison,
having your stuff ready.
that you need them to look at the feedback and correct
that's part of advocating for yourself and stuff. And like, if you're coming to me with a question, and I see that I put feedback on your assignment, and you turn it into me literally 4 minutes after I send you back your assignment, and you don't even read my comments, you're not advocating for yourself.
And it may feel.
You're not standing up for yourself. You're not.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
could feel disrespectful because you're taking your time.
Could that be
That's
part
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about them advocating for themselves and caring about their own grades.
Yeah.
Right?
So could that
that's-
be under thriving, that if you acknowledge feedback and you make improvements, that you're working more
Yes.
toward thriving?
Yes,
Mhm.
because
So could
I
we-
believe at the end of the day, I can give them all the feedback that they need. I can tell them which problems on quizzes are wrong, or which sentences need to be corrected, et cetera, et cetera. But I can't do the work for you.
Okay.
I can't make you want to have an A. I can't make you want to do the corrections if you just don't want to do them. It's like that saying, you can lead a horse to the watering hole, but you can't force it to drink.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with their motivation, lack of motivation sometimes.
Yeah.
My probably for that one for thriving is, sometimes they have low self-esteem, meaning that they don't think they're smart enough, and
That can tie into motivation.
yeah, motivation and telling them like,
Focusing on their own strengths, right?
yeah,
Instead of looking at my negatives, I'm looking at my strengths and what is it that I bring.
And maybe that also can tie into the self-advocacy piece of, I know I'm good at this, I might need some help in these other areas. So we can either add another to this part of thriving, or we can look at and see if it fits elsewhere to, so I think helpful is, it's about being helpful for other people, but it's also about being helpful to yourself. So, you guys think we wanna add the advocacy piece to thriving, or looking at adding it?
maybe helpful.
I think it needs to be I think that's honestly a social skill.
Okay.
I mean, you have
See,
to,
lots of
it's
things for
part
sure.
of, it's a part of your social skill to go and advocate for yourself and say, hey, I need help with this assignment, or and taking the time to come into office hours, talk to your advisor, talk to your IA, and say, or come to office hours physically and say, hey, I'm struggling with this assignment, can you please help me?
Well, I think advocacy would be within social skills, like communicating your needs appropriately, which is part of self-advocacy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the first one for thriving because a lot of people have an issue
Communicating
accepting
needs.
feedback,
Yeah.
so.
Well, it's not just accepting it, it's reading it.
Yeah, I think communication needs to be up there, because we have issues with students not appropriately communicating their needs. They'll
Okay.
have
That's a
outbursts
big
or,
one.
have fits when they get frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like that, do we wanna make a change?
That's
This is
good.
None of this is set in stone, so.
Yeah, they're very closely related. Communication is part of advocacy.
I was ready to go get the chisel from the truck, just.
Other social skills, keeping a respectful, quiet voice in there. Because sometimes they get in there loud and laughing and stuff, and that causes the one person who wants to work, who's genuinely in there and not there for social, it distracts them from their work.
Mhm.
So an appropriate voice level is a good social skill that needs to be done.
Absolutely, and picking up on what's going on in your surroundings to be able to clue you into, this person's working when their door's shut, so I should probably, so that's a lot of, definitely a social skill for sure.
You've got a group of students all in there around an L-shaped table, and they're all pretty close together. You've got to keep a noise level so that this person on this end of the table isn't being disrupted by this side of the room.
Absolutely.
So like being mindful would be like
Yeah.
being mindful of noise level, because you'll be sitting by someone who needs a screen reader that doesn't have headphones.
Mhm.
What do? You can't tell them.
Supporting other people's learning, the helpful part, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
Very much.
Maybe there's something we can do about that, by the way. I'm sure that there's headphones that can be checked out from the library.
Oh, and that's, I had been recommending that already, but,
Getting them to do it's a different thing.
it is.
Oh, yeah.
Again, self-advocacy.
That goes.
You can give them all the answers, but they have to want to do it.
All right, so we feel like that's at least a good start for office hours.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Okay. What other setting would we like to think through together?
Practicum.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't really my area.
Being dressed appropriately for work.
Dressing,
We say professional.
Professional, yeah.
yeah, because that's how we ask.
Professional attire.
So you're wanting to match the setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need someone to take like notes on Word or anything? Or-
I will send copies of this.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah.
Recording.
Uh,
Yeah, you're good.
Visual notes, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, with appropriate voice levels at work
Mhm.
as well,
And good communication is very
Communication.
important.
communication.
Being attentive to their job.
Mhm.
And you want them to be, I'm trying to think how to word it, but, like, we don't want them to be there and be students, we want them to be there and be employees.
Mhm.
So, you
We
know.
want them to be
Not
able to
being a
take
follower.
ownership.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take initiative.
Our active engagement works even better, I like that.
I'll
even
get
better.
you a PowerPoint.
Thank
Yeah, I'm taking that.
Is it me?
Yeah.
And I love the just listing things. If we want to move them around eventually, we can. So what do you want practicum specifically to look like, and then we can worry about where they go later, if that's
Mhm.
helpful.
Being at work, showing up to work and.
On time.
On time.
Awesome. Thank
Being
you.
mindful of time,
Yes.
period. That means turning in things that they have to, like their
Time sheet.
paperwork and
Mm-hmm.
timesheets,
Clocking
to actually
in.
clocking in and clocking out, so,
Timeliness.
Mhm.
our time management, and that would be under
Punctuality.
accountable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Punctuality, yeah.
Not showing it too early or. Well, so that self-initiation is part of that accountability, right? I mean, you know, like, not
Yeah.
waiting on someone to
Yeah.
tell you what to do, you need to be.
Yes.
It's got-
I mean, once you know that you work 8 to 4, Monday to Thursday, you should know you work 8 to 4, Monday to Thursday every week.
Mhm.
Knowing your schedule.
Thriving, be like, you know, believing in the knowledge that was provided to them, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
they've been giving everything they need, they just need to believe they can use it, to use it, believe in themselves to use it.
Yeah, the
Using
confidence.
Or just
Tools.
using
Uh-huh.
it, period, and
Using the
having
tools,
confidence
yeah.
on the job.
What about like the tools that are given?
Well, that's basically what knowledge of tools and knowledge are kind of the
Definitely.
same thing.
I definitely want them going above and beyond like their basic responsibilities on the job, so that way when they're
Mhm.
applying for a job, their fraction coordinators have a reason to write them a letter of recommendation that doesn't just say, oh, they did the bare minimum, they were fine, they didn't have any problems. I want them to have things to say about our students, like
Mhm.
this individual goes above and beyond, this individual is going to show up on time, this individual is going to do, you know, stuff that's not asked of them just because they know that needs to be done.
Yeah, because they, I mean, I think oftentimes they know how to go above and beyond, but then they see the other employees doing the bare minimum and then they mimic that. Oh, no, you're sorry.
Yeah.
My goodness.
No.
Yeah, it's on the cloud, it's all safe,
Yeah,
it's
you're having
fine.
my kind of day.
It's on the cloud, it's all fine.
Oh, goodness.
So what happened to me earlier this morning.
Brought my phone, y'all. Don't have to go back up to my office for my phone.
Oh, that's good.
Do you ever do the remember it for 5 days thing?
Yes, I do, and it's already been 5 days, so.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
You used to have like a 30-day one, but then they had some security
Yeah.
problems because it was 30 days.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe it works. We'll see. It's gonna let me type, so hopefully. Oh my gosh, it just. You all saw me do that, right?
Yeah.
It's not letting you click.
It says sign in your account from another tab.
I was gonna say, just refresh that tab.
Okay.
Oh, the
that's a
other
good
tab.
idea.
Yeah, just.
Oh, there you go.
There we
That's
go.
it. Yeah,
There we go. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Yeah.
You could.
Okay.
yeah.
No, I'm not succeeding at the thriving, clearly.
No, you didn't.
Thriving
You
is-
are thriving, because
thriving
you
is-
went back and you solved the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, I love
When you
reframing
fall down,
that.
you get back up and
Yeah.
keep going. That's
Dust it
thriving,
off
you
and
know?
keep
How
going.
cool is
There we go.
Can't
I
avoid
appreciate your
that.
patience as well.
working as a team,
There we go.
cohesive.
Jeez, if that's the worst I had to
Probably
deal with in one day, I would be pretty amazing.
You think he's going for helpful, you're saying?
I think helpful,
Team
and
member.
teamwork makes the dream work.
I love that.
So. Cohesive, like reliable, I guess. I'm just throwing out some words.
What I'm gonna ask you again, what does reliable look like?
Reliable, like you got my back, kind
Supporting
What-
others.
of supporting others.
Yeah, supporting who they're supposed to be supporting.
Initiating tasks without being asked,
Mhm.
again, that's still being helpful.
You wanna go
Yeah.
beyond, yeah.
It's plugged in. It's literally plugged in. What's happening? There we go.
Get it?
Yeah.
How old is that
Yeah.
laptop?
A year and a half.
Yeah, so it's definitely not that. Is it shown plugged in?
I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but.
Yeah, it shows.
Oh, it's plugged in.
No, I have another.
You got this,
little-
Megan.
I have another little adapter.
I think I'm having to I'm gonna have to hold it.
I have
so-
another
Sometimes
adapter.
I'm older, like.
Would you like?
They're
Gonna
amazing.
give you the heck.
We're gonna solve this, promise.
Building something
Build,
over there.
There we
build you
go.
a little.
Well, meantime, I can
You know
hold
how
it.
you propped up tables in the
That's
past, you go to
exactly
a
what I was
restaurant and
thinking.
they sit there,
There we
see
go.
how this works
See,
for you, if you need
maybe
to do
a
more, we fold more.
Magazine would work there, oh, there you go.
Seems to be working.
Nice.
All
Alright.
right, awesome, thank you.
I'm good for something once in a while.
Good teamwork.
See,
Yes.
there's that teamwork.
Supporting others, there we go.
Yeah. Boom.
We're using books anyway.
Right.
All right, anything else to go in helpful in practicum placements? Situations. If you think of any, we can come back to it. Socially skilled.
Interacting with who they're
Communicating,
yeah.
communicating, interacting.
Yeah. It's not just other, like who they're supporting and their team
Mhm.
members.
Yes.
Sometimes they'll just be around the person they're supporting without communicating with them.
Yeah.
Who they communicate with.
And communication is key.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Communication.
Whether it's a little kid or an adult,
Mm-hmm.
that person they're supporting, you have to communicate with them.
Yes. I also think listening, having those listening skills. Because if you're not listening and paying attention to what they're asking for help for, you're not gonna be able to help them because you're not.
Also, if you're not listening to what your supervisor is asking from you to accomplish with that person, you're not gonna be successful.
Yeah, for sure.
Paying attention to your environment, maybe if someone's like kind of cueing you into like, don't do that, or this person
Yeah.
needs help, and then, so paying attention to your environment to know like.
Very, very important, yes.
Awesome.
A lot.
Yeah,
A lot
this
of
is
that.
great. And if you think of more, do we think we've covered everything for practicum? I think that's my next question.
I think so.
Mhm.
It looks good, especially after doing the observations of mowing, but it looks like it covers everything.
Okay. Do we have any other
Classroom.
Classroom,
Set in
yeah,
classroom.
class.
Okay. Are those the main three?
I would like to put advisors on the last one.
I was gonna say
Advising?
independent, because I mean, even though we're not supervising in the independent living setting, it still affects us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, it affected
Yeah.
my classroom this morning.
Can we add one more?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
So is everything okay with the books, or?
Took me out of my.
There we go.
Mm.
All right. So classroom, what does that look like?
A professional, having the equipment that they need ready to go.
Yeah, being prepared with the materials pretty much, or having the materials.
Because
having them
So many
charged.
times they come in there, their computer's not charged, oh, I forgot my computer back in the dorm room, or
Mhm.
Rather than can charge.
I don't have my
it
phone
in
for a
the
duo.
Yeah, for real.
All the
I
things
can't
we've
clock
just
in.
witnessed happen here.
No, it's all-
Mhm.
also attire,
Yeah.
their clothing attire.
Mhm.
What is the expectation there?
That they come dressed professionally.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sweatshirts,
For a trip.
sweatpants
So-
and sweatshirts are not professional.
No, not at all.
But
No, you got,
I can even take that over pajamas.
Yeah.
yeah,
Pajamas in class are not
Yeah.
appropriate.
spaghetti
They're not
strap
appropriate
shirts,
anywhere.
like
Oh
tank
gosh, hell
tops.
no.
So I think dressing appropriately would be, again, kind of going back to, right, like, what's appropriate for the job site, for a job
Yes.
setting is what
Right,
I'm thinking.
and because we are a job training
Mhm.
Yes.
program.
It's the same thing that they do here in the
Mhm.
teacher education. You have to show up how you'd be, what appropriate would be appropriate for the classroom. It's the same
Mhm.
We
expectation.
don't do that very well anymore, but
Used to be an expectation.
should be.
Yeah, because I've seen a few coming in to those type of classes. Yeah, and I'm thinking, oh, I wouldn't want your
Are
child.
we?
Wouldn't want you teaching my child look just like that.
Yeah. Okay. And I love having some things that are consistent across
time
settings.
management,
That definitely
Yeah, I was
helps.
gonna say,
time management, the,
I think
On
on accountable.
professionalism?
I agree, it goes under
Yeah.
accountable. They
Okay.
need to be
Yeah.
turning
Okay.
in things on time. That's time management.
Yeah.
yeah, I think advising and office hours are gonna be pretty similar too.
Okay.
Because
Anything
of-
else for classroom professionalism? What about conversations in classrooms? How can that
Oh,
go
phone and
sometimes?
conversation.
Yeah.
I put that under social.
Okay.
The conversations in classroom need to be related to the subject,
Mhm.
so.
Mhm.
So
And
use of technology in an appropriate way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like not pulling out your phone to check something unless it's like
Mhm.
part of the class, if that ever
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got from doing it up above to,
happened.
Or in the pocket.
Learning to just text in your pocket.
that's.
I tried to text from my pocket. I don't even know what that crazy alphabetical synopsis, whatever Big Bird used to say, was probably what it would look like. Ridiculous. Like,
Well, it's more of, they pull it just enough to the side from the pocket to kind of look.
yeah.
I'm not that talented, I guess.
They are, because obviously they must have been doing that sneaking for years.
The ownership of learning needs is under accountability as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Should we say that?
And thriving would, it's also part of that time management, but, advocating, well, showing that you know the knowledge, being able to participate in conversations, there we go. And participation in the classroom, that's the word I'm looking for. I knew it would
What
come out.
about in group discussions as well?
Well, that's in the classroom.
Yeah, still in the classroom.
Okay.
I think also for professionalism, I think respecting others, because if you're sleeping or if you're, being disruptive, you're not respecting your coworkers or your, classmates or the teacher, by not being prepared and not being awake and,
Mhm.
So respecting others by paying attention in class.
yeah.
There we go.
Others by paying
What about
Not
if
in-
someone says something that could be taken the wrong way, and what, anything about, interpreting things people are saying, or just anything like
I
that?
guess I haven't had that happen yet, so it hadn't run across my head
Oh, I
yet.
do in my classes, so.
Keeping maybe.
Not that it won't
Like
happen,
open
I just
mind.
said I
So
haven't
maybe
had
for
it.
social, for
Okay.
social skills, maybe keeping an open mind,
Yeah.
kind of like how you said.
Open-mindedness.
Mm-hmm.
Taking,
That actually could even go under helpful.
that could go to helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely could. We want to move it.
I think it needs to go under helpful, because that's gonna help everybody in the class if you're open-minded, because you're more willing to listen to what your classmates
Mhm.
and the instructor are having to say.
You don't have an automatic reaction. You wait and you talk it out or.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that really does help the class a lot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely, for sure.
Um,
Well, with my next thing is just setting goals. So if you identify a goal that you can work on with that student, then you can measure that and see how they're working toward that goal. And that can help us to monitor how they're progressing, what are things that are strengths, what are things that we might need to provide a little bit of extra support with. So. And then next time, what we're going to talk about is all about how to reinforce the desired behaviors when students are meeting those expectations. And so we'll talk about quite a few different strategies with that, and go from there. So, like I said, I will send a copy of this. That was a lot of work. Like I said last time, I'm super impressed that y'all can just get these out so quickly, because sometimes it's a challenge. So I commend you for that hard work, and I will make sure that I send that out. And yeah, we have a plan for.
The unique thing about us is we're all on the same page.
I love that. Yeah, that definitely helps.
And that makes us think similarly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all our stuff is like, we all care about the students. That's our main priority.
That's very evident
So-
for sure.
Yeah, I would say we all care about the students, but we also, it's important that all of us have unique perspectives and that we don't all think the same way, so that we're able to make each other better. Because if we all think the same way and we're all giving out the same ideas, then,
But the
we're
fact
not
remains-
addressing things that need to.
Also, if they see someone else struggling, that they're willing to help a fellow classmate with, for understanding.
So initiative, demonstrating what initiative looks like.
And a lot of these can go
Yeah, that
a lot of
taking-
different places, so.
So, yeah, that.
And just like we were saying when we worked on categorizing the terms, well, it might fit here, it might fit there, that's okay. We can see a lot of these things repeat, and it just helps students know that, yeah, they are meeting those expectations if they're doing the things that we've listed here, so. Anything else in the classroom setting?
I think that pretty well addressed.
Did we talk about anything about homework?
Well, that's part of the time management and ownership of learning.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
But it's also been hammered home in office hours too. Like that's
I just want to make sure.
turning in assignments on time. That's homework.
How about for helpful, what y'all think about like modeling the behavior that you're expecting others to,
Yes.
Yeah, I like
That's-
that.
Yeah, I like that.
So it helps the other students know what's expected, right?
Okay. I would also potentially say, which we're getting a little bit ahead of our, moving on to the other things which is great to think about how we're gonna make this happen. So not only modeling, but acknowledging when people are meeting those expectations is a really important part of this system that we're putting in
Right.
place. So I could see that going under thriving or under socially skilled, could be lots of different places, so. And it could fit in really quite a few of them. Social skills?
Yeah. Don't you think?
I think so too, because I was gonna say the same thing. Acknowledging that really means a lot when you tell somebody, you know what, I really like the way it's kind of a social skill.
Yeah.
But it is thriving too that they recognize that, I get that, and it is professional.
Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes all of it. And it could be helpful because that other person may have been struggling and that made them feel better.
Or they were working really hard to do that, and so acknowledging that they were working hard can
Help
them to-
boost their self-esteem.
Yep, for sure. Awesome. So, and like I said, a lot of these can go in a lot of different places, and that's okay. So, we just like to kind of identify one place that it can kind of live under. All right, advising. How is that the same or different from all of the other ones that we've done so far?
So, feel free to talk.
I think showing up for their advisory meetings, keeping their appointment.
Yeah,
Punctual.
very important.
Well, it's just honoring them in general, because a lot of times they just skip them.
Yeah.
They just don't show up,
Yeah.
even though we tell them they're required.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make them a priority.
Yeah, that's very
Mhm.
important. Because that also tells me, for practicum, that's how you're gonna act when you're talking about class and your advisors. That tells me a little bit about what you're gonna do when it comes to practicum.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to fit that anywhere?
No, I think we're okay, because we have, we have some other stuff in there, time management and stuff like that.
For accountable
Mm-hmm.
is having all the materials ready.
Like I said, I think there's gonna be a lot of overlap between advising and office hours. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of overlap.
I think it's okay for it to have overlap, right? At least that's what I'm getting from you.
I didn't say it wasn't, I just said there's gonna be a lot of overlap.
Be honest.
I think they love that.
Honesty.
Yes.
For what? Like about,
Or excuses.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Could that be things that they might need a little more support with, or,
For like whatever we give them instruction about, so suppose goal. So they are giving same excuses or
yeah.
lame excuses.
Mhm.
So like one would be like,
Or making up
I
a
was,
story.
Yes.
I was at Starbucks and I forgot. And then next week it's like, oh, I forgot again. When they know that.
So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry. It's like most of the advisors are students, so they also know what kind of excuses.
Yes, we all of our advisors know. They actually are very aware of
I
it.
know, I make my homework.
It's like, oh, I haven't used that before.
You only have so many limits on that excuse, so move on. Yeah.
So could we kind of on the, hopefully not needing an excuse, can we talk about what kinds of things students should do instead? So like planning for time and like what kinds of things, what else can accountable look like for being prepared for advising?
But as far as back to the honesty, it's also honesty about, yes, I made a mistake, and here it is. Not just
Ownership.
forgetting your stuff,
It's the
it's
same thing.
Yeah.
So honesty.
There you go.
taking ownership.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like that.
Okay. Seen that one a few times, love that. All right, thriving.
The rough and balancing
I
thought.
think making use of the time, the opportunity, right? I mean, this is a great opportunity for them to, do better and, and this is a great support, use it.
Mm-hmm.
Helping them meet expectations or their goals, I guess. Sorry.
I love that.
Because they set goals in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they're not meeting them by the end of the year or graduating.
And show a little legal enthusiasm about the meeting. Like we are we are here to help them.
Mm-hmm.
Having
Like bring a
enthusiasm, that's
positive attitude.
Bring a positive
out.
attitude.
Yeah.
Or at least try to.
Yeah. Yeah, that really needs to be in practicum as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
In thriving?
yeah.
Okay.
I think that's very important.
I think going back to advisoring, probably a skill setting would definitely be communication, no matter if it's like routines or email, just letting them know that if you are late, like let them know, hey, I'm on my way, but such and such came up, so they know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, clear communication, yes, not just communication, clear, yes.
And honest.
Yes.
And on time.
Clear, honest
And
communication.
proactive, yeah. I think a lot of these things too, like being punctual, showing respect, having materials ready, all of that is helpful so that that time can be as fruitful as it can be. So we can repeat some of them if we want to, or we can think of.
Thank you for helpful. Maybe repeating, keeping an open mind.
Yes, I was just.
Yeah.
Love that. Could it be willingness to take feedback again, that one, and incorporate it? Or is that one accept feedback?
Is that not, I'm sorry, is that not the same thing as mine?
Somewhat, but different too.
Because, I mean, if okay.
I see them being different.
What about language barrier? I don't know how to fit that in, but sometimes if I don't understand, or they don't understand me, like, how can I help to?
I think that's a great question.
I just don't know the word to put it in.
Yeah, I think that's really gets to understanding, right? So if
And advocating that you don't understand, that's back to advocating again.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
How can that advisor help you if you aren't able to advocate your needs? So you help the advisor by advocating your needs.
right, right.
Yeah.
Where do we want it to fit?
In a way, I think it's under helpful again, because if that's, I mean, how helpful would that be to you if I tell you, I need help with this?
So I think it will be both in helpful and social skills, because when I have experience, like when I ask students like what kind of difficulties you are having, so they are saying, no, we don't have anything. So
Yeah.
But I think that can definitely incorporate that if there is any struggles with communication or language, or I think having those two together could help.
Can we also add the word acknowledging that they have a need, like, or is that fits in there?
It can, where do you want it to fit?
Acknowledging your needs, or
Acknowledging the needs of the advisor.
yeah, like he said, like they come in and then he asks, do you need help with anything? Like they say no. So acknowledge that you have a need, or
That would be advocating.
Yeah, that's advocating for themselves, that I can't help you if I don't know what the problem is. It's like, you can't come to me at the end of the semester and tell me that you're failing all your classes if I didn't know about it. Well, no, that's the other thing, is that we do know about it. We know about their grades, we know about their practicum progress, we know how they're doing in their classes, and so they need to be open and honest about their progress in all areas, because all it takes is 2 clicks for me to go through their.
And not all advisors have that access.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
So-
well,
So think about it as like in general, besides if without counting us as the advisors.
yeah, fair enough, yeah.
I have one more. I don't know how to fit it, but like, don't compare our workload or schedule to them.
Oh. So they think their life is harder, and then you tell them that I have the exact same amount of work. You know.
Okay.
So That is a good one, I like that. But- And that maybe is under, I wanna say, it's like in the middle of like maybe accountable or,
What was it? Is it a social skill recognizing the needs of
Yeah.
others?
social skill.
Yeah.
But when they do recognize it, that's thriving.
That is
Oh, I know.
It's also being, I mean, it's kind of being like empathetic to others, or like,
Yeah.
okay, you also have a lot going on.
Right.
Yeah, which is a social
Yeah.
skill, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're constantly running to your advisor and interrupting them during their own class stuff,
Oh, I know, go figure.
So maybe that's in the professional part, is respecting your time. We talked about respecting time. Respecting,
The time of the advisor.
the time of the advisor, yeah.
Also showing appreciation.
yes.
Oh, yeah, appreciation.
Love that.
Yeah, these guys don't have to do it, but they have volunteered, well, I mean, been hired by us, but you volunteer to apply. So, they're giving of their time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they give more than what, is even expected of them, so appreciation goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll get them far in life.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. It's a good list. All right. Last one, independent living.
That's the one, it's like. And then,
And maybe in that setting, professionalism isn't super, isn't the word that we would necessarily
no,
choose,
they
but
need that.
No, there is
How
a
can they-
professional with independent living, which that would include leaving your problems at home
Yes.
and not taking them with you to your practical site,
Or
not
to
taking
the
them to
class.
the advisor, not
Mhm.
taking them to the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Or to office hours, yeah.
Because they have drama in their independent life,
Mhm.
but we all have drama.
Amen.
I mean, I can't bring, if I had an argument with my husband that morning, I can't bring it into the classroom that day.
She tries not to. Every now and then she.
Y'all know, Emmy's gonna make me go to jail again. Y'all know I'm gonna have to
I want everyone to hear me out and agree with me and not my husband. I'm going to tell you this.
He's wrong all the
Yeah, yeah.
time. It's just a no-go.
I want to record you saying this.
All of you say I agree with Ms. Layhouse.
Mr. Leha's wrong.
All the time. Repeat after me.
Girls, repeat after me. Your husband is always wrong. You're always right.
I don't believe in forced testimonies, I'm sorry.
I owe you for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hygiene.
Yeah.
Hygiene is a big
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
Being responsible of their own hygiene.
Like body language.
Body language. I'm cold.
No, I didn't.
I told you.
Oh,
I'm cold.
Oh, I got 3 layers on. Don't make me leave my office with my 2 heaters running, so I have to put another jacket on.
What do you guys do during the winter?
I freeze to death.
I think being flexible with others, our students are very inflexible with each other in the dorms, and they just
That's a good one.
don't want to see each other's point of views, or, if you think different than me, then you're wrong, and they need to learn flexibility.
So ends up bringing it into the classroom.
But would
Yes,
that,
it
but
does.
flexibility would be in the or the social skills, right?
I know.
It could be,
I'm
yeah.
not mad.
That's what I think of as more social, but.
Yeah, because you're thinking on the other end, like when they're bringing it into the classroom, and so, but yeah, that statement is more of a social skill.
Yeah, I think that would be the social.
We wouldn't copy it or just move it? Move it?
Move it.
Okay.
I feel like we're on like a voting, maybe.
What about professionalism? Professional respecting the rules.
Mm-hmm.
In the dorm, whatever.
Mhm.
The apartment, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Respecting your roommate.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Mhm.
Being honest.
Respecting the boundaries of each, you know, the person there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest issue, and I only had,
I'm sorry. Sorry. And then moved on to the next thing.
Sorry. There you go.
one thing I don't know how to word it or describe it, I guess, is we hear a lot of, like, it's, yeah, kind of like problems, but it's like arguments between roommates. Like,
Which is leaving your problems at home.
I like space, like separation.
Yeah, kind of, but it fits with both of those, the
Yeah,
conflict and the
yeah,
problem
That's
there.
leaving problems at all.
Under accountable, taking care of the things in your apartment.
Clean up
like
after
the
yourself,
cleaning and
yeah.
things like that.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Submitting work orders if you need like that.
Actually, now thinking about that, we could change the hygiene one down to accountable. Don't you think? Maintaining hygiene.
I mean, it can be on both, but I think it's good there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know, I was just thinking.
Not tearing things up. We've had some go sideways and tear up their room and destroy property.
Yeah, especially if you're
Respecting
not,
property, yeah.
especially if your TWC counselor is paying for it instead of your family. You need to be honoring the money is
Oh,
coming.
TWC and paying for that.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And the property of others too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very much so, yeah.
Good looking chart. I'm just thinking.
I know, this is getting a little detailed.
Love it.
Mhm.
Thriving would look like making making connections with others.
Becoming part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Making the right choices
Yes.
when they're up there.
Choices.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm trying to think of like healthy, making sure that they're using their time in healthy ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, not staying up half the night.
Oh, I know, right? For real.
Sometimes
What
you
about
really-
3 a.m.?
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Like video games all night, they try to get to class and be
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sympathetic to that. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but I mean,
You can't avoid playing video games all night.
no. I guess I was saying up till
Or
3
keeping your roommates up
I
all
was saying,
night.
Oh, I
up
know.
till 3 a.m. in college for different things, I guess.
I have one for social, respecting the, what am I skipping mine? Respecting the decisions of others. Like if
Yeah.
somebody says no, okay, just respect that.
Yeah. Mhm.
But
Don't try
keep
to-
going
yeah.
after them, yeah.
Mhm.
For real, yeah.
Persuasion.
Yeah.
I would say decisions and boundaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Language for helpful, like helpful language, helpful speech.
And again, that's cleaning up after yourself too,
It,
and others, you know.
Mhm.
Doesn't hurt them. You see a piece of trash laying around
Throw it away.
the dorm, pick it up, throw it away.
Yeah, don't be that person and just be like, your trash is right there on the table. It's like, well, thank you.
Well, you know, I mean, there's, depending on your setting too, right? I mean, there's things that are, it's not my mess, it's our mess.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of taking their part and
Mhm.
taking, you know, and taking care of their part.
Yeah.
And sure, there you go.
Yeah.
Cleanliness or upkeep.
Maintenance or upkeep, yeah, okay, there you go, there you
Yeah.
go.
Of the environment.
This is an awesome list.
I think also respecting others' time. Because if you're distracting them from their time where they need to be studying, or you're taking them
Mhm.
away from, or talking them into doing other things instead of studying, you're hindering others and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome.
did we talk about like organizations at all? Like where to be
Student
That'd be
loans?
under independent living.
independent living.
Yeah, 'cause that's the limit to
That would be
independent living is like
under driving.
community and.
Yeah, it's part of the community.
Community.
Yeah, we've already added those
Yeah.
community things.
Do we want it to be,
That's
the
kinda
title to be community?
Community involvement.
No, because independent
Because
living
independent-
No, we're talking about like.
No, I'm saying independent living encompasses student orgs, and it encompasses life outside of campus.
Well, we've been doing a lot of talking about in-home.
Yes, but I'm
So-
saying that independent living encompasses all the other stuff too.
And all of that work for any of the organization even.
Yeah, all that stuff is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, there it is,
Like-
under thriving, being a community member.
That's,
It doesn't necessarily mean in their dorm, it also means on campus.
Any
And
student org on
anywhere.
campus, yeah, it's,
Okay.
yeah, that's
Very
all-
true.
Okay. I just had the impression it was more for home kind of
Mhm.
setting. That's
You
what
could-
I mean,
I.
when I see,
Anything outside.
when I see independent, when I hear independent living, I hear anything that's not when you're in the classroom or not when you're in school.
And not at your.
Like anything that's not academic, or anything that's not academic or work, yeah.
And we can
I was just, that's just
list
what
all
I
of those
thought.
settings too. So just to make it really clear, we could say, you know, dorm room in the community, we could just be, we can add that too, for sure. So, all right. Do we wanna add anything anywhere? And like I said, I'll send this out after we're done today, so that you have it and it can just be a living document. You can update it however often you like.
That'd be cool to laminate too.
And the great thing about this is, you all have identified a lot of things that fit within these. And like I've said, it doesn't have to be, oh, well, dressing professionally only fits under professional, right? It fits under a lot of different things and it's applicable to lots of different settings. So you have a really great list here of things that you can help students teach or help by teaching them and to reinforce when they are doing it. So that's a really awesome thing to start from. So as has been mentioned, when we're looking at how do we actually make this happen, there's some pretty basic, and you guys had some awesome ideas about how to actually do activities you could do with the students in different situations to help them know what those expectations look like. So I didn't want to give an exhaustive list because y'all were always already brainstorming those. So, but in general, the more you can model what that looks like, what that sounds like, how those interactions should go, demonstrating what it looks like to meet those expectations. That's a really great way to do so, and to help students know how they can meet those expectations. One specific strategy that helps with that is pre-correction, and so that's basically giving a reminder before a certain activity or a certain routine, or hey, remember when you go to practicum tomorrow, you need this, or just providing those reminders, those prompts to help increase the likelihood of success. Yes.
How do we do that if, so like, our students are at practicum from Monday through Thursday.
Mhm.
So how do we give them like the prompt every morning or every day?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be every day, but it could just be like maybe a pre-correction is that everyone gets a copy of this document, and they have it in their space, and they can reference what it actually means to do these things as a member of the PATHS program. So that can be enough of a
Well,
pre-correction.
in class, teaching that, right?
Yes,
And you-
absolutely.
And
That's modeling.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. you
Modeling
have-
is doing it yourself.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
pre-correction
I
is
could-
teaching.
Like, if
Yeah.
I brought and did this and talked about this tomorrow in FBE,
Yeah, you have them for 6 hours in class on Fridays. I think that's more than enough time to teach them what you're gonna need to teach them. You don't need to be doing it every day with every student. And that's also why you have the advisor meetings. Because
Right.
you have that time carved out to do all
and
that
then
stuff.
they can go back over it as well.
Yeah,
They'll
for
have
sure,
this.
for sure.
I mean,
I think it is important every once in a while. You do want to revisit the expectations certainly, but also just what it actually, these specific things that you've identified. And this list here that we just did is this part here, the examples. You just thought of however many examples there, more than 50 I'm sure, of how the students in the program can meet those expectations. So that can be a really great way of teaching that too, is just going through, okay, so here we have, this is what we expect of you. Do you have any questions? But also, what are some things that don't show us that? You do want to identify that so it's very clear and explicit, but after you've identified that, then you want to focus on what the expectations are, okay? Because our brains can often remember the non-examples more than the examples. And so,
like the day we showed how to do the bad interview versus the good interview, when we acted it out.
yeah, that's a great connection there for sure. So, modeling it yourself, providing some reminders where it's necessary, or if you're seeing during an advising meeting, hey, remember we were talking about this? It could just be one email on a Wednesday afternoon. Hey, was thinking about you, hope your week went well. Remember this week we're focusing on X, Y, or Z. And just kind of a quick reminder, quick check-in, doesn't have to be a lot of effort, doesn't have to be every day or every single student. But the more you kind of do those frequent check-ins, the more it's likely that that's gonna help sustain for those.
When do you back
those
out
students.
of doing that? Because as like we tell our
It's a
students
super
that
great question.
when we tell them that your supervisor's not gonna tell you every time what to do, because
Right.
then you become more of a student than a
Yeah, absolutely,
teacher. So
yeah, and
how do
and
you-
you can get reliant on that too, on that prompt.
Uh-huh.
So I think you do want to be mindful of how often you're having to provide that. If there's something that you are consistently having to provide a student and they're not able to do it on your own, you might need to come in and look at some other different types of supports. But hopefully at first you might have to do it more often and then you can kind of fade it out over time. So, I didn't, one week you do it, the next week you don't. And then at some point check in with that student and see if they remember themselves. And if you know that they did, then great, you don't have to check in as often. So just kind of monitoring that, and that ties in exactly super